Welcome back to my garden studio, and today I want to do a more structured abstract painting. You may have seen or recall the painting that was done in yellow and purple with charcoal, and now I'm going to make a bit more of a structured abstract painting. So let's begin. First thing I'm going to do is divide up my canvas into thirds. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to draw a very light line with a charcoal pencil. I love these pencils. It's pure charcoal and they are covered in plastic, so you need to actually sharpen it with a cutter. Try not to use a sharpener because it tends to shatter the charcoal. So I'm going to divide up my page into thirds, and it's very roughly, and I'm drawing a line. If you can recall that previous video, I really liked that painting, the yellow and purple with the charcoal. It didn't start like this. This is starting with a structure already. So I'm just gonna divide up my page into thirds in that sense. Okay, so what you have is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then these areas where they intersect, there and there, they become quite important areas. And there will be a video in the future on the Nautilus Shell concept, but I'm going to give you an idea now of what that might be. So the Nautilus Shell is this type of curve that happens, and it goes into a spiral that would meet roughly there. So that happens in nature all over the place. It's really quite a fascinating thing. This can also have a spiral that happens here. So in fact there's spirals everywhere, and it's turning into something already. The main thing for me is just try to have fun. At the moment this canvas is white, and the question you might have, or you may have, is how do I start? Where do I go? Remember, it's an abstract painting. It's abstract, so we're not necessarily going to be doing a Nautilus shell, but this is the part of the structure of the painting. So it might be used as we go along, these ideas, but I do want to stick to a kind of structure. So we could call this painting windows, or we could call it something to the effect of straight lines, but you might say, well, we've got really curved lines in here. They may come into the painting as we go along. You see, okay, there's some lovely ways of stretching things out and doing not completely abstract painting. So what I've got here is charcoal sticks, and I love charcoal because it spreads into the painting. The paint actually spreads the charcoal out, and we use them as a structural thing. So let's just begin. I'm putting quite a strong line in here, and the other thing I must add at this point in time is that I would like to explore red and orange as my medium. We're using acrylic, so I'm going to be using this is a crimson, and sometimes they call it a alizarin crimson, but it's a darker red, a warm darker red than the red itself, like a scarlet red. And then I might add a little bit of orange, and I certainly will be exploring the possibility of white. Now there's just one warning about red and white. You mix red and white together and you're going to get a pink, and I'm not entirely sure that I want a pink. So I will explain as we go through the video what we do with red to make it light red, not pink. So I'm following these lines and I'm just having fun, letting my mind go with it, see what happens. And you will also notice as we're going along, you'll see, okay, well, I'm not entirely sure of an area. I don't like whatever is happening here. You can always paint that out. Now that's quite interesting. There's a thing happening here with just trying to dust off this charcoal, and something's becoming quite interesting here. So just try to let your mind go with it. I did say a structural painting, so I'm going to be putting more straight lines in, and calling it windows somehow. As you'll notice in nature, there are very few straight lines. We are used to having straight lines because of buildings and because of our constructions and motor cars and bridges and straight lines. But in fact, in nature, in plants and trees and all that type of thing, and I mean even portraits, you don't have straight lines. There's no straight lines, very few. So that's quite interesting. What I've done is I've actually started to combine curved lines with my straight lines. I'm rubbing the charcoal in, and you stick by me. You watch the process, and you'll see how these smudgy grey lines actually start to mix with the paint. So I'm going to be painting. I'll just quickly demonstrate that. I'm painting with paint. I haven't got paint on this brush right now, but when I do, I'm going to be painting these lines and actually cutting them back, making them smaller, so they're smudgy out on the side. The paint is going to mix with this grey smudgy line, and let's see how it goes. But I do want it to be red. I don't know why, I don't often paint with red, but today I feel like I need to have a warm painting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with it. If you're using this as a reference, you're welcome to kind of copy it or whatever. It will never be the same as mine. It will be yours, and that's fantastic. That's what I really like. I love it if your painting becomes yours. The main thing in this segment, dividing your page up into 3, or your canvas, and then starting with structural lines and letting it go. Just let it go, see where it goes from there. Okay, so for this segment, I think we'll give it a little bit of a cut, and we'll come back. I'm going to stand back and look at this painting from a distance and get some ideas. You might want to add shadows. You might see shadows and you want to add shadows. Okay, so we'll see you in the next segment. Thank you. We're back, and I've had a little chance to look at my structure lines. Almost try and half close your eyes when you look at something like this. Now you can imagine it's going to be red, orange, maybe pieces of yellow, and there's going to I do want to have green, because green and red are opposite on the color wheel. So at this stage we're going to carry on with our drawing, and I'm trying to see where things are going with regard to the windows idea, this idea of windows. So I'm putting lines on my third. There's my third, there's my third, here's my third running this way, that's my third running that way, and yeah, we're missing some lines on this side. So let's put some lines in here. I'm smudging the charcoal as we go. Yeah, smudging the charcoal. And also using our existing marks that we got from the spiral. The spiral that we somehow put in there. Now it's sort of getting spread out more to the sides of the canvas, and there's something, half close your eyes again, and something needs to happen down here. So maybe it needs just to have a box in here, some kind of box like that. Now I'm missing my third line here on purpose so that it's not too regular, and that's starting to look like there's a structure. Something needs to happen up here, and I'm not sure what. So we're going to rake, and I'm going to stop and have a look at it. Okay, so what I've done is I've stood and looked at this canvas for a few minutes, and there's some areas that need to have activity. So I tend to think these corners are issues that I need to resolve. So I'm going to just try something. Let's just try something. It's an element. And maybe this one's a curved element. So it's an absolute nothing, but it's filling up that space. And I'm hoping the camera can catch this little corner. So I'm putting 2 lines in here. And remember that you can blot anything. If you don't like it, you can paint over it. But keep watching the painting, your painting. Keep watching your painting. This is quite interesting. Happens almost by accident. That something's coming right through and disappearing out of the canvas. So that I didn't plan. I just happened to notice it. So looking at the canvas all the time and seeing how your drawing is developing. We're going to be doing red and warm colors, oranges and reds. This is a blank space over here. Not too bad to have a few areas that are quiet, but my thinking is start with more and then cut back. Start with more in your structure, and then you can cut back if you want. You could paint this entire canvas white again, and you wouldn't have lost anything. You might think, oh, this is totally not working, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to just paint the whole thing white with acrylic, PVA, acrylic or whatever. We're not dealing with oil paint at this stage. We will do that as we go along. So that's why it's nice if you can subscribe to the channel, because things are going to grow and develop on their own. We'll eventually do drawings, and we'll eventually do acrylic. You can hear that bird in the background, isn't that cute? It's a dove, and it's called a ringneck dove. In South Africa we have that. So it is a garden studio. I'm working outside in the garden, and what I'm doing at this point is I'm actually just graying the whole canvas with my, just rubbing the charcoal in, and it gives it a grey tint throughout, and that's going to come in handy at the end, because I'm going to be able to paint white back into here and use the charcoal blended with the acrylic, and that's going to create a whole tonal change, tonal effect that's going to happen. So let's have another stop and look at the canvas, stop and look at what you've created, and then become more confident about the next step. That's the whole idea. So we're going to stop now. I'm going to look at it, and I actually am quite satisfied with the marks that have been made. That's good enough for now. It's almost like you want to do more marks, and almost you don't want to come back to make additional marks. Try and do more marks and then cut it back. That's what I like to do. So what we're doing, I've had a little time to look at this painting, and I'm actually happy with the marks that I've made. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get quite a lot of white paint, and I like to spread it out and knead it so it becomes smooth and easier to apply. And I'm just going to add a little water there, so I'm putting water in. The paint is still fairly thick, and I'm using this glaze brush. These are lovely brushes, and we just start. I don't want these straight lines, so I'm structuring the lines out, and I'm going to go into panel by panel, piece by piece, and you'll notice how the grey starts to come in and gives you that tone that we're looking for. And this is what you want to do kind of throughout the painting. Get these lines out, but also creating that grey that I like. I'm getting a little bit more water in, and so I'm not going to go throughout the, from the video's point of view, I'm not going to paint every, I will be painting this off video, off live. So what you'll see in the next segment is I'm going to have this whole canvas covered in panels of white. But what I do want to show you is what this does to the charcoal. And I love it, because you can do anything. It doesn't matter what you do, what your lines look like. Just make sure you've got lots of lines. That's what I would say, because you can always paint them out. But I don't want to go in to the line work when I've finished this part. I'm getting a little more paint because I don't have enough paint in my palette, and a little more water, and you can really carry on with this all the way through, getting rid of these lines. You see these lines that are happening here? I don't want those lines, those light lines. I want the strong lines in, yes. So what I'm going to do, just complete this to show how the grey comes in. I remember that I have not sprayed or fixed the lines with a varnish or a spray. What I've done is I've left it raw so that it can pull in. It can actually pull into the paint. And what I will do, and I'll show you how we do that at the end, is I'm going to, when the painting's complete, I will varnish the whole painting so that the charcoal is fixed to the canvas. And that's what I will do. Now this little area here is actually, I'm pretty happy with that. It's actually looking good. I like it. And I'm going to cut at the moment. What I'll do is I'm going to show you a more detailed picture of that to give you an idea of the texture that's coming in. Okay, so an area like that, you can see the grey, the tone coming in here. So what I'm going to do now, you will not see what I'm doing on video, but I'm going to be doing this effect throughout the whole painting. The whole painting is going to have that effect that's happening here. So come back to me in 10 minutes or so, and you'll see the finished effect of what's happened here. So what I want to show you here is how much I'm cutting the black line down. It's like, you're drawing it and then you're actually covering it up. So I'm just showing you how much I'm cutting it back. It's like it becomes really small, and the more you scrub it in, the grayer the white becomes, which is what I want. So you have an area like that which has become middle tone grey, you know, like a really crazy thing. And I don't like to see hairs in my painting. We may think that I have a special sound effect running in the background, but it's not a special sound effect. It's actually a real bird. You hear them in the background, they're going. It's a garden studio, so it's lovely. I love painting outside in reflected light. That's what I'm doing. And at the moment I'm kind of running out of paint in my palette. Remember, when you do this stage of it, you're going to be crisscross, eh? And keep an eye on your dirty areas. Any area that's slightly dirty, you're going to want to lighten it up or have another dimension to it. So it's got light and dark and your middle tone. This part of the painting is actually ready for the next stage. There is hair again. I don't like hair in my paintings. It's not cool. I don't like it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't have hair. I don't have hair. So yeah, that's done. And you can see how the developments happened from this side to that side. Okay, so we're back again. And this painting is completely dry, but remember that the charcoal is loose, so we're going to have to fix that right at the end. I've got orange, and I've got red, and then I've got a deeper red which is called crimson. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have crimson in an area of my palette, and I'm going to have red in an area of my palette. Now we're warming the painting up. I'm going to warm it up with red. Remember, the cold white is actually a cold color. So I'm not adding any white to these colors now. I'm using the white in the background. Okay, so we put that aside. And what I want to do is first affect this one. And I'm going to start with my lighter color. The orange is the lighter of the colors. And I'm going to put it inside here. There's no water in this paint. And what I'm going to do now is go to the darker color, which is the red. And while it's wet, I'm going to just blend it in. And you might have noticed it's covering up the lines that were sitting in that square. So what we're doing is we're making a constructed painting here. I'm moving now to the darker color, which is your crimson color, and I'm putting that right on the edge. And don't forget that the charcoal is still loose, so I can bring the charcoal in to make it even darker. And this is an abstract painting, so you can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Okay. If you're not sure, then leave it. Don't go on. So the next area I'm going to do is this square down here, and then I'm going to do that square, and then that square. What I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to do this square first. So I want this to be dark. It's going to go back, and I want this to be light, so it stands up. And keep watching your painting. Don't just carry on painting. I'm going to darken this area here. Touch a bit of water into my paint because it is a hot day, so the acrylic is drying quickly. It's drying very quickly, and I'm going to edge this square with a dark color, and what you'll see is the dark tone is going to actually go back. It's going to go to the back, and the light ones are going to come forward. So now my brush is dirty, I'm going to set it in the water, and I'm going to pick up a new brush for the lighter color. Now pick up a bit of orange, and you may be able to see that this paint is drying very quickly because it's a very hot day, and just be aware of it. So you've got to work quite quickly. Okay, and then blend it in a little. Okay, we've got some 2 squares are done, and then I'm going to put this in my water, and wait, first before we do that, I want to lighten this area. I want to get rid of this white area here. So what you might find, or what you'll see in this demonstration, I'm going to just put this paint brush in the water. What you might see is this area is coming forward. It's like a bump here. It's actually coming forward. And this area over here needs to be blended. So I'm going to use a really big brush, a dry brush, and I'm going to just stroke it softly over the top and blend it. Okay, and then we're heading in the right direction. I'm quite happy with it. I don't want my paint to dry out, but I need more orange, so I'm going to put more orange in here, and we'll see you in the next segment. Okay, we're back again. What I'm doing is this has dried, so the red has dried. I can feel it's dry, and what I'm going to do is add water to my orange, and I'm going to put this in. There's a little bit too much water in this paint, so I'm going to take my dry brush that we had before, and I'm going to blend it out, remembering that the charcoal is wet, or the charcoal is dusty, so it's going to pick up, but there's a very nice texture that's happening. While we're here, I'm going to show you this as a detail. But while we're here, I'm going to paint this because we've got orange in our brush. And what I want to point out here is that the orange is coming forward and the crimson is going back. You can even do a second coat. The orange in the brush is going to create a nice effect. And I'm going to put that in my water, and I'm going to pick up the painting, show you the texture that's happening inside the orange. Do you see the texture? And also the texture on the red. So you can see the texture on the red, and then of course the texture in the white. So the white is showing through as a texture as well. So we almost finished this painting. The last thing I want to do is blue. So we're back now, and we're going to use a large brush. Still got my orange in, which I don't mind because it's going to make the color a little bit less bright, dirty. And what I'm going to do is add blue, and blue is going to go to the back. That's what I want. So this whole section is going to be blue, and it's going to be cold and go back. So I'm taking my palette and I'll add my blue, a little bit too much, but it doesn't matter. That's okay. Okay, so we're now adding a little bit of water because I want it to be very thin down. You can see how strong it is. The blue is really strong. And then I'm going to pull in some of this crimson. So the blue is going to go somewhere. Where it's going to go, I don't know where it's going to go. Let's put it in here. And don't worry about the bubbles, actually that's part of it. I'm going to add a little bit of water to fade the blue out to the edge. And I'm going to pull it back in again. So that's like really rich. That's really strong blue, which I'm not sure if I want, but it's okay for now. So I'm don't be afraid of wasting paint. You see the little blobs of paint that have wasted here? I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to color everything a little bit blue, and I'm going to touch a red in there, which will mix with the blue and go purple, and then that's fine for now. Yeah, and then what I'm going to do is rely on the texture of the original white paint to come forward. Oh, sorry, I'll actually go back. This is coming forward and that's going back. So the cold colors go back. And I'm going to blue everything. In the background, I'm going to blue everything. Just be careful of the charcoal. The charcoal is actually going to create a problem. You don't want to paint over the charcoal. Now there's a lovely run that's happening here. There's a lovely run that's going on here, running down, because I've got and texture happening there. So there's a purple. There's a purple in here. Mix the blue with the purple, and you get a darker, lighter, very, very thin. Very, very thin. Okay, so now here we have blue that I'm in a very big brush, and a blue that happens along this side to finish this edge off, this corner. I hate having hair in my painting. I'm going to take the hair off. You don't want that to dry in the paint, the hair in the paint. And I'm picking up a bit of blue, a lot of blue actually. And then how much blue do we want? Like there's a fantastic, oh, there's a bit of a spray there. So we're just watching that. Very big brush. It's like, be brave. Don't be afraid, it's going to be fine. Very blue, and painting across here, and the bubbles actually work out. So here we're going to get a purple color, mixing the red with the blue. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then just get it clean. And don't worry about the bubbles, and don't worry about, oh, don't like that. This little spot running here, you just take that off. So now we're going to take, I'm going to work the blue into the maroon, and very, very softly, as you can see, there's lots of water, and I'm painting all this section with a particular color. Remember that the canvas is lying at an angle. I've got it sitting on a piece of a wedge that's sitting underneath there, and what it does, it allows the canvas to go at an angle. And there was a drip, so I've got to go back and watch that. Add a little bit of blue. Right, a lot of blue. Okay, let's see what that does. Be free. Just be free and let it run. Let your mind do the next thing. Now there was a drip here. I heard it. So I've got to try and find out where that is. But for the moment, this is looking nice. I love it. It's cool. It's really cool. And we get this corner in with blue. I want the background to be blue, so it's cooling off the color. And watch the painting as it goes all the time. All the time. So now I've got one more corner. A little bit worried about this mark that's happened here. Don't worry about that. Take that little piece off. and we're going to blue this corner, and I'll show you a detail of the painting. Remember, we're using a really big brush. Okay, so when I set that aside, what I want to show you is the palette has got lots of paint on it, so as you go along, you're going to realize how much paint you use. Too much paint, not terribly good, but anyway, that's fine. The painting's actually finished. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this detail of how the paint is moving and creating a texture that's really nice. And what you're doing is making a painting that can go anywhere in your house, on the wall, anywhere. It's fantastic. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, this is the last part of the painting, and that is to fix the charcoal with a spray. So I'm using this matte spray. You can get it at a hardware store. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's just a normal matte spray. But the secret is not to spray on. You're spraying in little bursts like that over your charcoal, and it's going to hold the charcoal onto the painting, so it doesn't spread and make your painting dirty with grey. That's how easy it is. Trying to get an even spray, and you can hear how I'm going spray, spray, press, spray, press, spray, and go. You can go over the whole painting and give it a solid spray, and it'll hold your charcoal onto the painting. And that's about finished. There we go. That's the painting. The last thing I want to show you is the painting can go any way. It can actually go that way. It can go this way. Whichever way you feel.
This way.
Or that way. So you have choices as to how to sign the painting. When you sign the painting, you'll sign it in the bottom right hand corner. You can actually sign it wherever. You can sign it on the side of the painting as well, on the edge. That doesn't matter. But that's the abstract painting. And that's how easy it is. Try it at home.